Back. It's 13 minutes after 12 o'clock. We do apologize for the long wait, but we were trying to get our next guest hooked up to Zoom. Unfortunately, we were having problems there, but I do believe she is online. Her name is Marlena Kruger, and she is from a company called Technolif. And undoubtedly, she's here to talk about something called a nomophobia. Marlena, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for the opportunity, and hello to everyone.
I'm so sorry we couldn't get you on Zoom, but oh gosh, there are days and then there are days, but still, it's good to have you here. Now, I must admit, I just came across this word about 2 weeks ago, nomophobia. And I was quite intrigued and wondered if this is classified. It is a classified terms. It is a classified medical term. Can you confirm that?
Yes. And if you say it's a classified medical term, then you can talk about the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the DSM-4, and more specifically, there's a fifth edition also available, but it's actually linked with the fact that you experience phobia. So it's a fear, or you become anxious, and you are fearful for something in particular or specific things. So if in this case now, if we say nomophobia, then it's no mobile phone phobia.
Sure.
So in other words, it's actually already, it was coined in 2008, already when in the UK they did a research study on post office workers to see whether there's perhaps anxiety-related disorders because of the overuse of mobile phones. So it is not really that new, the term, but the fact that it has now become so prevalent on a daily basis, we see it more and more, the anxiety disorders when you have very mobile phones have to you in a working order or connected or charged with the internet connection. And I think with our failures, currently, that is again a good confirmation of how do you experience it. Are you comfortable with not having or not a short phone perhaps because you forgot about it, or are you becoming anxious and you may stress and have a higher respiration, heart beat, irregular heartbeat is becoming quicker. So that's similar things and anxiety.
Okay, Marlena, I'm going to reconnect with you because your line is very bad. We're going to take a short ad break, but please just stay where you are so we can reconnect with you.
Great, I'll do that. Okay, thanks.
All right. Her line is very bad, but I can hear feedback. I can hear her wherever wherever it's being beamed out to. Whether in your area, I can pick it up here. And it's very, very just because her line is very bad, and I'm hearing that feedback from there.
Blankets, fresh water portal trucks, and even on-site navigators. We use every cent to better their tomorrow. Become part of our journey to bring relief to all. Go to www.ashrafulaid.org or call us on 011-809-8181. Ashraful Aid, under the auspices of Maulana Suhail Wadi.
Babu, why don't you loosen your belt a bit more?
But why now?
Well, it's very tight, blocking air to your brain.
Haju, this is only a start. I need to tighten up a bit more. Funds are tight and the cost of living is high.
Funds are not tight. It's your haram insurance which is tightening our barakat.
Okay, Haju. I will call my insurance friend tomorrow.
Maybe I must tighten up on my cooking from now on too.
No, Haju, we don't need to tighten up. It's okay. Look, I'm even throwing away my belt.
Don't tighten your belt. Change your insurance. Leaving Riba Insurance is easier than you think. Call Amana IFS for all your personal and commercial takaful needs. 0861 786 393. Amana, leave Riba for good. Amana IFS is a registered financial services provider.
Imagine the joy of receiving a meal for suhoor or iftar.
Africa.
This Ramadan, join Africa Muslims Agency to provide meals to the fasting for 100 Rand a day, a food hamper for 1,500 Rand, or feed a village for 15,000 Rand per day. Imagine if you could earn Allah's forgiveness in these 10 days through your acts of charity. Donate today. Call AMA on 011-834-8685 or donate online. Africa Muslims Agency, commemorating 35 years of empowering, educating, inspiring.
Give charity without delay, for it stands in the way of calamities. For child-headed households in Bloemendal in the Eastern Cape, the daily diet consists of white bread and a carton of cheap juice or sugar water, known locally as the poppy water diet. Make a difference to that one child or family. The Al-Fida Foundation has over the past 13 years worked on the ground and gathered the largest database in the Eastern Cape region of Muslim Zakah recipients. Phone our offices at 041 484 1288 or visit our website at www.alfida.co.za. The Al-Fida Foundation, your social investment partner in the Eastern Cape.
Salam Media, your spiritual companion this Ramadan.
It is exactly 12:20 p.m. I'm talking with Marlena Kruger. She is from a company called Technolif Wise, and we're talking about a condition called a medical condition or a psychological condition called Nomophobia. Marlena, welcome back. Can you hear me loudly and clearly? Marlena, are you there? Okay, we seem to be having connectivity issues this morning, or rather this afternoon. So whilst we're trying to get Marlena back, do you know what just came to my mind? It's well and good to talk about nomophobia, which is now being described as a psychological condition. And it's when people have a fear of being detached from their mobile phone connectivity, or just being in contact with other people. And I was kind of thinking, we are in the age of high technology.
I'm fine. Are you right?
And I'm kind of, can you hear me, Marlena?
Yes, I hear you clearly.
Okay, you sound like you on the other side of the earth, but welcome back. And I was just giving a bit of background to the listeners, saying that nomophobia is now used to describe a psychological condition. And it's really about when people have a fear of being detached from their mobile phone connectivity. Now, there would be a difference here, wouldn't there? When we're saying, is this about not being able to get connected or not getting in touch with someone? There is a difference here, is there not?
Yeah, that's been, no, I think it is really not to be in touch with your phone. You know, so because your phone has now become part of you. And if you are now not connected or your phone cannot work for you, you are actually experiencing anxiety. So you become anxious when your phone is not with you. And the next step would be if you can't connect or you don't have internet access and you need it now. So that's basically the next step. So the first step is just to know you have your phone with you, and that lets you feel safe, or you're then calm and relaxed. But when it's not with you, you start experiencing anxiety.
But isn't that terrible, Marlena? It's really talking to the majority of the population because we feel cut off when we don't have our phone. If you've misplaced your phone or if you've left it somewhere, it's almost like life has come to a standstill. And that then is suggesting that all of us, or the vast majority of the population, are homophobic. And then I'd like you to respond to that. And then I want to understand what is it that Technolif Wise is involved in, that you are able to put out a report like this, which is very sobering, I might add.
Yeah, I think your first question with regard to how many of us are, or in the world, not even in South Africa.
Absolutely.
Is that there are more people having cell phones than toothbrushes. So that's another relation that's actually horrific to know that or to think of it. Let me rather say it's very difficult to establish and confirm that, but I think the notion of there are so many people connected nowadays and having cell phones that there's definitely an increase of anxiety attacks or people experiencing anxiety when they don't have their phone. So I think the reality is we can check it for ourselves as well, so that we can start feeling more relaxed without our phones, because it is not part of you. You are a human being, and you don't need a robot or a tool to be human, to be you. You 100%, and most probably more than 100% without a phone. So the notifications and our attachment to our phone, it is very much linked to the reward system as well. The fact that when we see that we have received a message or someone liked our photo, or perhaps you received an invite, that is part of the reward system, the dopamine that's being secreted, and you feel actually being rewarded. Versus when we are without our phones and we are doing real life activities, and you feel satisfied and fulfilled and purposeful, that's what you've done, then your body is actually secreting more the serotonin, that's the feeling good hormone, or when you have exercise. So that is really the difference, that the happiness has now been replaced by pleasure, because the pleasure system is closely linked to the reward system and the secretion of dopamine, versus you are doing nice activities, real life activities, you experience fulfillment, content, happiness, real happiness. And that is part of what we must make sure, that we are more human and we strike the balance, so that we are not becoming anxious without phones, and the phones are now managing us, instead of we are only using the tool for when we need it and for adding quality and value to our lives, versus we are now enslaved by our phones, or addicted to our phones. So we really need to strike that balance to stay more human than to become more robotic or enslaved by our phones. And that is part of our foundation purpose. But perhaps you want to first ask something else before I answer?
I'm wondering that if we don't console ourselves or justify the fact that we're so attached to our phones because we are dependent on our phones for all forms of communication. We know that broadsheet newspapers are not, their sales have dropped drastically. And I think for most of our news and happenings in our immediate surroundings, we are dependent on getting that type of information on our phones as well. So, at the risk of saying that I'm in denial, um, we are so dependent for our work, for being in contact with our loved ones, for news updates, for wanting to know what's possibly happening on the roads, etc., etc., etc. Your response?
Yes, I think you're right. We are very dependent on our cell phones because of all the information that's now available on our fingertips, basically, as you have pointed out. And I think if we are okay, we must make sure that we are okay also without our cell phones when we are, say, not on the road, not working, and only relaxing. Because I think that is our other story, that yes, you may want to be connected to a friend, but what about the people in your direct environment? Because that is our other challenge with the relationship with the real people in your direct environment, to build deep and meaningful relationships, because that is, at the end of the day, that is also very, very important for our mental health. Because if we don't have those deep relationships and connections with the real people closest to us, you may also experience more mental health challenges. And that is also already shown with research. So the fact that during daytime or working time, yes, you are very much connected to your tool or your cell phone, your smartphone or laptop, but make sure that you disconnect. Say, for instance, when you're at home, and spend less time in front of screens in the virtual world, perhaps, but make sure that you keep your sanity and your real human side through all your senses and experiences. You must experience life with all your senses and integration of being human, and not only using your eyes and ears, perhaps, not necessarily your smell and touch and a hug here and there. So it is really a matter of, yes, we are very much connected, and we must use it well and wise as a tool, but we definitely must make sure that we are not getting addicted, and we not getting or experiencing fear without it. Because fear versus freedom, we must actually have the freedom to be without it. And when we can manage it versus, yes, we need it now, but it's okay. I am human. I have been there, and I can also live without, and actually realize that I most probably will become more relaxed without it at certain times, and during nighttime, for instance.
Absolutely. I hear what you're saying, and as you speak, I realize the gravity of the situation, because there are people that go into absolute panic mode, and this is making us very antisocial, as you've rightly pointed out, because we give more attention to the cell phone than to the people in our immediate surrounds. You could be visiting with someone, you could be having lunch or dinner with someone, or having a coffee for that matter, but you're still give first priority to your phone, and that does then indicate that you are addicted, you know, that you suffer from nomophobia, or you are addicted to your cell phone, so to speak. Having said that, let's talk about Technolif. Why is that the name? Technolif Wise. What is your company all about, and where do you, where have you become, and why have you become involved in this piece of research?
Yes, I think we have established the Technolif, or we call it Technolif Wise Foundation, about 5 years ago. And I think after realizing that if we are not becoming wise and managing technology effectively and ensure that we are not enslaved by the technology and the screens, we are losing more than what we are gaining. And if I say losing more, then I also talk about more humaneness, compassion, even our young children. And I think that is, for me, one of the most heartbreaking realities currently, when a baby or a toddler or a young child is getting a screen instead of actually exploring life and observing life and experiencing life in its fullest sense with all its dimensions, because they are then underdeveloping. And more people we know, there are more children on a daily basis being diagnosed with autism or ADHD or even other learning and neurological disorders. But to a large extent, you can most probably go back to how much screen time has this little one or the baby or the young child, unmanaged screen time, or replacing developing time and playing, real life playing, movement, and all those things. If they are replaced by a screen, you are also running into problems. And therefore, with COVID, unfortunately, it is now also more the reality. So the fact that we must say, wow, let us stop a little bit more, stand still, reflect on what's happening, and make sure that we as humans are still clever and we are not becoming dumber and number or degrading ourselves because we are spending too much time in front of screens, or we are spending our children's development time because of the physical, the cognitive, the social, the emotional, all those areas cannot develop fully with screens. That is critically important, and that's why we need, and we have a place and we focus to raise this awareness, but also to empower people and help them to manage it more effectively. We have just sent out a lot of emails, for instance, to schools in our team, primary schools currently, focusing and making a pamphlet available on how to manage screens effectively and prevent electronic screen syndrome or screen addiction. Why is it important? And it masks symptoms of all these other unnecessary things happening in our environment, and we must become active to prevent it.
Marlena, thank you indeed. I do apologize for mispronouncing your company's name. It is called Technolif Wise. Thank you indeed for the insights on this very serious disorder. It is called nomophobia. And if you think you're caught up in it, then you need to seriously see a psychologist or a therapist to help you get over this matter. Marlena Kruger from Technolif Wise, thank you once again and have a very good day.
Thank you very, very much for the opportunity, and thank you to all your listeners. And yes, we are also there to help in any way where we can in different ways we can also assist. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and let's take action to make sure that we stay human and wonderful.
Absolutely. God bless. Thank you once again. The time is exactly 12:38. We'll be moving on to our last interview for the day, and that is with Tulani Zaid Langa, Sheikh Tulani Zaid Langa. We're going to talk about the upcoming South African Black Muslims Conference.